Our valedictorian's address, Joseph Robert Regan.
Thinking back to this time last year, I remember watching the previous valedictorian take the stage for his speech and thinking, boy, I'm glad I'm not that guy. Nevertheless, I am extremely honored to be the valedictorian for the Pembroke Hill class of 2011. As valedictorian, I'd like to think that I'm smart enough to know that nobody wants this speech to be longer than it needs to be. So I'd recommend saving the fake bathroom breaks for a more drawn-out portion of the ceremony. Most of you who know me realize that I'm not much of a public speaker. In fact, I'm not much of a private speaker either. So you can imagine how the task of writing a speech designed to represent this year's graduating class seemed incredibly daunting to me. How could I possibly hope to speak for such a diverse and unique group of individuals? I still haven't come up with a satisfactory answer to that question, but here I am, so I'll give it a shot. The class of 2011 has come a long way in many ways. It seems like only yesterday we unduly received a reputation for being Pembroke Hill's problem child after popping a balloon or 2 or 30 at freshman orientation. We were conscientious objectors to color wars our sophomore year. We may very well have done something unpopular junior year too, but after a year of APM, Civ, English, and history, my memory only returns in paralyzing flashbacks. By our resounding color wars victory this year, it became apparent that something had fallen into place. Of course, school spirit competitions are trivial benchmarks at best, but the change in our attitude that they represent is what really matters. We've grown closer and more united over these 4 years. We've learned to take action, take responsibility, and take our sweet time. We've learned to learn. It is a fitting, if coincidental, distinction for this class to be Pembroke's centennial. Rounding out a century of freedom with responsibility, the class of 2011 has epitomized the well-rounded, thoughtful, talented, and active ideal of a student body that this school so proudly holds. Our past flippancy has its benefits. As our minds have been honed by academic intensity and pragmatism, we've never lost sight of the lighter side of things. As we ascend to a new awareness and involvement in the world outside the bubble of high school, we are armed with good humor, passion, and ambition. However, despite what I alone may have to say, this day is about no one person, so I felt it was only natural to share this podium with my classmates by turning to them for some of their reflections on their high school careers. When asked, what makes our class so awesome, Anna Plunkett said, the unusual imbalance of guys to girls. 2.5 to 1 is hilariously absurd. When asked, what will you miss least about Pembroke, Blake Ives replied, the girl ratio. I mean, that's just a given. As you can see, it's a very polarizing issue. When asked, what was the most important lesson you learned from Pembroke, Will Sharp said, make puns early, make puns often, because puns are always fun. But seriously, it's not cheating unless you get caught. Do your homework with friends, do tests alone. Tests are where it really counts. Will Sharp's views do not necessarily represent the views of the Pembroke Hill School. When asked, what was your favorite moment, Jimmy Ullman replied, dude, that's just hard, man. You've had some good times. I've just been at Pembroke for 16 years. Patrick Curry answered, seeing Mr. Burke headshot Luke Butler with a spray can of water and achy gov. When asked, what will you miss the most, Dana Huffer replied, friends and teachers the most, definitely the people. Did that survey paint a complete picture of our years together as a class? Certainly not, but I could not do those years justice if I had time for 100 speeches. Speaking of time I don't have, I would like to draw this speech to a close by thanking my teachers and all the rest of Pembroke's faculty, especially our departing Miss Blamer, for educating me on so many fronts, my parents for their guidance and ceaseless support, and my brother because he told me to thank him. Most of all, I'd like to thank my fellow graduates. These students before you have been the best companions I could have asked for in the past 4 years. And I have no doubt that they'll continue to mature and cultivate themselves and others in the coming months and years. I hope you now join me in congratulating the wonderful men and women of the class.